Hello and welcome to the Game Week 23 edition of the FPL Scope podcast. And we are finally back again after taking a bit of a holiday break during Christmas and stuff, with Kevin being back in Sweden. Now we're back and our ranks are a lot worse than the last time we made a podcast, so we need to rectify that. And the way that we decided to do that is by both activating our wildcard chips. So it's going to be a lot of wildcard talk in this podcast, basically. We'll talk about the main players to have. This is going to be pretty useful information for anyone looking to wildcard in Game Week 24 as well, which I think is going to be a pretty viable strategy for what it's worth. I've gone through that on this YouTube channel before, so you can check out the video on whether you should wildcard in 24 or 32 that I made last week. But now we're here to talk about everything between us two in the podcast. Kevin is here, and I'd like to hear from him. We haven't talked in a while in terms of FPL online, basically, at least. We do speak about FPL usually in our chat on like Facebook Messenger and stuff, but because you still use that. But anyways, Kevin, how are you doing besides the rank and all that stuff, and besides the Knicks being bad and a lot of other bad things? How are you doing otherwise?
Yeah, I can't complain. Barcelona won today against Slavia Prague and are on the onset of looking to finish in the top eight, given some results going their way and them beating my former school friend in Jordan Larson in the Champions League in next week. Obviously, very happy with Everton beating Aston Villa. The reason why is, of course, I feel like Everton should be where Aston Villa are in regards to money spent in terms of playing in the Champions League and all this type of stuff. I mean, if our board have the ambitions that the fans have and all this type of things, Everton could be run so much better and could be better off. But you know what? Credit to Moyes, getting a win away at Aston Villa isn't a tough ask, and he got it. And James Garner is looking like an absolute baller. Barry's
Yeah.
scoring goals now. Future's bright. Senegal won the AFCON and
Yeah.
in incredible
Congrats.
fashion as well, which means that Skiliman and Jai ended up getting a medal and got the cup. So,
Gonna
yeah, very
gay.
happy with some of the and got a gay for that matter. Very happy for them. Very happy with how things are looking at Everton. Of course, there's now the whole rumors that Jack Grealish is out for 3 months, which absolutely sucks. So I'm quite curious as to how we're gonna try and rectify things in that department. I mean, I know FFP wise, I don't think we're gonna be able to sign someone huge in January, but if we could, that'd be awesome. Or try and see if we can get another loan. But yeah, all things considered, football's going great. NBA is not going too great, but yeah, overall, can't complain.
NBA Cup champions, so you at least have that.
Yeah, I mean,
True,
that's
true
better than
winners.
nothing.
True
Yeah.
winners this season. But now let's go into more important matters. That is FPL, because we need to rectify this situation. We've both had like not the best times recently, and we really need to do better. And part of that is because Gaming 22 didn't really go too well with both of us. We both had Dorgu as one of our bench players, and then our starting 11 didn't really do much more than Dorgu by himself almost. Just gonna leave it up to you. Basically, you did 0 transfers, 1 transfer left in the bank, of course, which is gonna be handy eventually. Not sure what you would have done potentially if you were to use that 1 transfer, just take us through your Gaming 22 score and how that affected you going into Gaming 23 and using your wildcard, basically.
Yeah, super annoying that Petrovic again concedes, but he did concede like a wonder goal, but it's just how late it was in the game as well, which
Yeah.
pissed me off even further. I've had dog shit week after week as of late. I was up in the 100K with you for the longest time, and then it just derailed, and I feel like I was doing too many safe options. Holland captaincy has like completely ruined any chances of catching up with anyone as well. But of course, the hindsight of that is, if you miss one of his holes, you're an idiot. So, really frustrating. Saka's not really lived up to the hype. Foden, you know, blanked every week. Ekitike started blanking. Bowen didn't do shit.
And DEFCON.
Defcon once or twice isn't good enough, and one goal.
Yeah.
But doubling up on Arsenal defense, the thing that I haven't had has been a spotlight. Timber and Gabriel have been great together. Finally, TL, who I brought in, who famously like completely stunk up the place last week. Yeah, finally got some decent points. And yeah, it's just a big shame that I didn't start Dorgu. I mean, I definitely saw an assist in him in the game against City, but I definitely didn't think he'd keep a clean sheet and get a goal. That's incredible stuff. And that's why I actually kept Goodmanson on the bench because I definitely thought that they were going to keep a clean sheet uh, as
That's
a
full.
backup sort of thing. But all my three defenders did actually keep a clean sheet. The annoying thing there is the fact that I maybe started Lewis Miley because again, maybe I should have benched him for one of those two players. But the only thing that I was thinking there was, well, he's been playing well. He's been getting the odd assist, getting
Yeah.
DEFCON in almost every game, and these they were playing Wolves away. So maybe if he started, maybe he would have gone on his DEFCON and gone a 4 pointer
Yeah.
or not
That's what
even a 4 pointer, he would have gone 5 points technically.
with a clean sheet. Yeah.
So so yeah, I would have been much better off, but unfortunately, the breaks.
Yeah. And Dorgu, yeah, out of nowhere, Man United. Well, not completely out of nowhere because they had just had recently hired Michael Carrick as their new manager, but against Man City, you didn't really expect them to do that well, especially with both Holland and Foden in the team. So it's kind of natural to bench him. I think a lot of people benched him this game week. So yeah, it's just a shame. It happened with me as well. I had him first bench, and of course, in my instance, it's doubly annoying because all these past few game weeks, I've been getting in auto subs every single game week for like 1 point each every single time. And then the one time where I needed to be a sub, of course, he stays on the bench and Saka gets to play like 30 minutes and get another 1 pointer. So yeah, we've had pretty similar teams as well. That's part of the reason why we're sort of on the same wavelength when it comes to wildcarding. And yeah, I'm just happy to move on from a lot of these players really. But it could end up biting us in the ass as well, like selling the likes of Rogers, Ekitike, those types of guys, like, and Saka for that matter, those three guys could all of a sudden, or Foden even for that matter, like they are good players. We know that they have a lot of ability, and there's a reason why we brought them in. But it's just been really bad luck of the draw basically because all of them have just been blanking left, right, and center. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the future game weeks. But yeah, I sort of get, well, of course, I'm not even sort of get, I totally get why you would wildcard because I did the same thing basically with kind of the same team that you have, pretty similar at least. Yeah, let's move on from your game week with 38 points to Kimo's game week with 33 points, even worse. And even worse because he also did a transfer. Michael Keane out for Fofana from Chelsea. And for one time, like he has basically been like a 90 or 0 minutes type of player for Fofana. But this time he actually came on and played 30 minutes and got a yellow card. So he got 0 points off the bench that way. So that was not the best transfer. He's been sort of, I thought he was going to be like a nailed starter that they just rested here and there, but it seems like he's going to be playing in the Champions League and not in the league and stuff. Like, I don't know about Fofana as a long-term pick there for Kimo. I liked him like a couple game weeks ago. He looked like a good prospect, but now I'm a bit more worried. Kimo also -1 point from O'Reilly. He's been also awful since we both brought him in earlier in the season. We both also sold him recently. And other than that, he has like a pretty similar team. He has at least kept Thiago, but he was kept quiet against Chelsea, 2 points. Even though that game, I think Brentford really should have won that game if you actually looked at the highlights there or watched the game. Like they had massive chances, and Chelsea were quite lucky to get a result there, I think, which we'll get to eventually. We're going to talk a lot about Chelsea in this podcast eventually, but yeah. Positive for Kimo is the fact that he had Tavernier with 8 points, but negative for Kimo is the fact that Tavernier got injured now, so he's going to be out for a while. So yeah, just off the bat, like we both wildcarded. Do you think Kimo has like a case to wildcard potentially, or do you think he should probably just keep at it because he also already has Thiago, for example? And yeah, I don't know. Do you think he has reasons to wildcard, or do you think it's a bit different than our situations?
I mean, I think he probably could because of some of the uncertainty around the players. Do you want Cunha over Bruno Fernandes? Um, do you still want Fulham defense when they are conceding all the time? All types of different things. And Nick O'Reilly, now with Nori back as well, there's so many question marks and Fafan as well. Like there are some question marks around his team. I mean, Gordon has been going crazy in the Champions League, but
Yeah.
has not at all been giving it back in the Prem. So Yeah, I think there are definitely options for it, but if he wants to just wait another week before making that decision, that's perfectly fine because I do think some of these players will end up being differentials in that sense. So if they bang, then great, and then he can wait another week before selling them. But I, I don't know. There are definitely more future proofing with doing the wild card ASAP. And I think we're getting to the point where people are now getting super hectic with selling players and all these type of things as well. So I think he should wild card, but
Yeah.
um, it's totally up to him. But hopefully he does the sideways move again. That'd be great.
Yeah. I mean, he could wait another week because a lot of people are waiting for Gaming 24 to do a wildcard. We've been a bit more
Hmm.
impatient with that. For me, it was a lot about just saving some money because there were some price changes and stuff that I wanted to get on to, basically. But yeah, he has a case to wait one more week, but he has a couple like question marks now as well with Tavernier injured, Fofana a doubt to play. He's started now for Chelsea in the Champions League. I'm not sure if he's going to start in the league. O'Reilly, is he going to start again? Is it going to be Art Nouri? Gordon has been pretty bad lately, of course. Um, Truffaut and Cunha are playing against Liverpool and Arsenal respectively. Like they don't have the best matches. So there's a lot of question marks as well with the team, but I think this is just going to be like another like pretty tough game week with Man United and Arsenal playing each other. It's going to be a tough game week to predict basically what's going to happen there because we don't know how good Man United are. They beat City, but so did Bodø/Glimt. So who knows really how impressive that is. And also we've seen also like previously this season under Amorim for Man United, they've been good against these like free flowing teams, but it's when they face low blocks that they've struggled. So we'll see how they cope in regards to facing those types of teams as well. So yeah, we're gonna get into more of that stuff later. But yeah, I think definitely Kimo has like some grounds to potentially wildcard, but I think you can also wait another week potentially. But not having Gabriel is not even the best either. But he's playing Man United, so probably not the most important issue to deal with right now anyways. But yeah, we'll get to his plans eventually in this podcast as well. Now let's move on to the manager that had the best score this week in the FPL Scoping League, and that is going to be Aravind LFC. I think that's Liverpool FC. And that is also, again, exemplified by the fact that this manager brought in Florian Wirtz and captained him for 20 points, which is basically the main reason why they became the manager of the week with 68 points in total. A huge haul there from the captain, which is something that we haven't seen really lately, like most FPL managers, because most people have just gone with Haaland as captain every single game week. That has not worked out. If you've gone with differentials, like Wirtz, for example, who has actually been pretty good in FPL lately, he's been getting a lot of good scores. That could have given you a lot of points. Also for the manager of the week, a lot of points in defense. Gabriel, James, Tarkowski, and Chia all getting returns there, including Kelleher in goal as well. And also Darlow on the bench getting a clean sheet. I was kind of surprised about that. I didn't even clock that before I made this graphic, basically, that Darlow is now the starting goalkeeper, it seems like, potentially for Leeds, and he's 3.9. So you could even go with like a Dubravka Darlow type of goalkeeper thing if you want to save as much money as possible, potentially, but we'll get into that eventually. But this manager, speaking of wildcards, this is a manager who has already wildcarded in the second half of the season in Gaming 21. That's why the team is looking pretty good, pretty fresh. But there are some issues here as well, obviously. I think I would have like a third Arsenal player. Rice is seems like a decent player to get eventually. Cherky is looking like more of a Champions League type of player now. Like even Champions League, he started this game, right? Against Bodø/Glimt? Cherky?
I can't remember. I
I
feel
think
like
it, I think it did,
he
yeah.
might have came out.
Because in the league, he's been like used sparingly and coming in as like a super sub. So yeah, he is someone that I looked at recently and thought he was going to be a good pick, but then now he's been a bit more of an issue when it comes to playing time and
He didn't start.
didn't start now against Bodø/Glimt. No, he came on and
No.
scored.
I think he
Um,
was Foden sub, maybe. Yeah,
okay.
he came off for Foden and scored immediately. That's very telling. But yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with City there. So there are some issues, I guess, with this team, but also a really strong team with the wildcard in mind. A couple of these players that we are looking to get in ourselves as well, and a couple like interesting differentials as well. I think Verge is someone that could be good. He's been good lately, and Liverpool's fixtures are like not ideal, but they are like okay-ish. So yeah, but yeah, what do you think of the manager of the week? 68 points is a really low score, should be said, for manager of the week. It just tells you a bit of a story about this game week as well. most people had tough game weeks. But this manager, 68 points, managed to get something good out of it with a good captaincy choice and a really strong defense, basically. So, yeah, what do you reckon with this team
I
in the
remember,
wildcard? And also, like, just one final comment before you start talking. This is a very Kevin-like team. Like, 2 bench players, Barnes and Obi, attackers who are worth nothing, just bench fodder purely, just to get a really strong midfield. It seems like a proper Kevin team, this one. But, yeah, take it away.
yeah, I think I remember reading something really stupid. Like this was like one of the lowest scoring in terms of double digits players. I think there was only 7 or something for the whole entire game week.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of them being Dorgu for us, who didn't even
Yeah.
get to play. But like, yeah, he managed to get the one out of the 7 in Verts and captain him. So well
Yeah.
done in regards to that. And Verts has, like you said, he has actually been pretty last couple of weeks where he's getting goals and assists here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively looks great. Reece James, Gabriel, Tarkowski. Of course, Tarkowski is one of those would have been a dream if we kept the clean sheet against Aston Villa. Then we went and did it is absolutely incredible. So, well done in regards to that. The midfield is absolutely stacked, but it's very telling that Saka, Holland, Shirky, Rogers all blanked, but the likes of the defense, which prior to the season, everyone was like, "Oh, it's the new meta," have a lot of defensive players, but lately it's very telling. A lot of players are blanking left and right. These are some of the more prestigious stars of the game. We're seeing a lot of players that are now consistently failing at getting goals contribution, which is crazy. I mean, City have been so inconsistent with that. Arsenal are not scoring that regularly from open play, and all types of stuff. So it's been super frustrating, but well done to this guy. 68 points. I remember saying, what a dream it is, or not a dream, the minimum score for us is 60 points a week to have a decent sort of
I mean, that's what you're aiming for.
one.
I think if you get 60 points per week, you're like close to winning FPL, or at least
Yeah, of
in the
course, of
past. In the
course,
past, it has been like that. But like that's like a
of
good game
course.
week. Yeah, that you're usually satisfied with 60 points.
Yeah, of course. And it's also because we're so used to having Juan
Yeah,
score to get us those 60 points
yeah.
every week.
When he
So,
gets 30
or
by himself, then yeah.
yeah, and Salah doing something, or someone like the stars are usually the ones performing,
Yeah.
but lately it hasn't been the stars. And for him to get 68 points is very impressive because I don't think I've seen past 40 in a long. Like I've been getting 20, 30
Yeah.
points uh, per game week because I've missed out on X player or I didn't captain that player because I've been going for Holland every week. And all these people who have had more fun with differential captains, including Verts in this one, well done. You got to take risks to do well in FPL as well. It's not just about taking the calculator risks. So, yeah, I think this guy did really well, and it's really interesting. But the question then remains is like, what's going to happen with Palmer? Um, like you said, not tripling up on Arsenal when they're most likely going to get a double game week, and there are some question marks in regards to that. But for now, I think it's a pretty good team, and going forward, yeah, I think there's some interesting points, and there are some easy fixes as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it is kind of a classic Kevin team where like if you want to
Hmm.
upgrade somewhere, you need to downgrade someone quite expensive. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe Saka could be the make weight potentially. Like we'll see also how much playing time he gets because he's been subbed or started on the bench in 2 out of the last 3 league games, which is not
Hmm.
ideal. So yeah, he is someone that I would look at potentially to sell to bring in some money for upgrading other positions in the squad. But yeah, 68 points at least is really, really good. Captaincy differential works out. That's also nice to see. And Dorgu was not just one of the few double-digit haul return players. He was actually the player of the week. He got the most points by far. I think the next best guy was Sanchez
Of
with
course he
11
did.
points in goal. So yeah, looking at the team of the week, it's Sanchez at 11, Dorgu with 15, Bruno Fernandes with 10, Verts with 10, Somerville with 10.
Hmm.
And that's it for the team of the week in terms of double digits. So yeah, not the best game week, but 68 points was enough to be in the manager of the week this week for Ireland, who we're going to talk about for the next game week as well. which is what we do usually on the Manager of the Week segments. And if you guys watching want to become the Manager of the Week as well, you can join the FPL Scope Mini League with the league code FNPQ83. And if you get the highest score in one particular game week, you'll get featured on the podcast, just like our event is, or just was now, and is going to be at the end of the podcast when we get to him and his plans for Gaming 23. Now, let's move on to the future predictions with the league games coming up now in Gaming 23 in total. We have, of course, 10 games as usual, and we're going to go through them. We haven't discussed prior to this podcast which games we should talk about more in depth. So do you have any suggestions? I think, of course, Arsenal Man United is the main game to talk about, so that's a given. But if you could choose one game to talk about apart from Arsenal Man United, what would it be for this game week?
I guess City Wolves, because I think it would have been such an obvious one not to talk about, but considering the tumultuous sort of season they're having and the last couple of weeks, I think it could be a fun one to pick
Yeah.
and talk about.
We're also quite like most of our predictions, and again, this is something we do separately. We don't know what we've done, like we don't know what the other one has predicted. Very similar scores this week. All results are correct or the same, apart from Bournemouth Liverpool, where we have a bit of a disagreement. So I guess that's the game that I would want to talk about. Bournemouth Liverpool. I think it's an interesting game.
Sure.
So yeah, we could do Man City and Wolves, and then Bournemouth Liverpool, and then finally Arsenal Man United as our 3 featured games this game week. But I'll start with the top 5 fixtures and go through them and ask you questions about City and Bournemouth Liverpool, and then you can take over from the rest of the fixtures basically, as we've started to do now on the podcast, which is usually pretty fun. So first game, we are in alignment. West Ham against Sunderland. West Ham are showing some signs of life, at least beating Spurs, which is not really that big of a feat, but it is huge for West Ham, of course, after that really demoralizing loss to Nottingham Forest the game week before. 1-1, I think, is just pretty natural thing. Sunderland aren't the best going forward. There aren't really a team to concede that many goals, but West Ham are kind of desperate. So I could see a 1-1 game here. I think it seems like a pretty simple suggestion, and that's what we've both gone for. We also are in alignment with Spurs beating Burnley 2-1. Burnley is a really bad team, and Spurs are also a really bad team, but they are slightly less bad, I guess. Like, they have more firepower. They did beat Dortmund now in the Champions League. They're doing really well in the Champions League for some reason. But Thomas Frank is not really having the best time in the Premier League right now. But Burnley is the game that they beat, the game that they won 3-0 earlier in the season. Maybe they'll get something good from this game as well, even though it is away from home. And Burnley are like they're not a good team, but they have some frisky moments at least. So I think that's what we're both thought. Spurs are slightly better, but Burnley can give them a bit of a fight, and they can also score a goal. So we both gone with a 2-1 win there for Spurs. Fulham against Brighton, we've gone with a draw as well. 2-2 for you, 1-1 for me. I think that just depends like what's winning out here, Fulham's defense or Brighton's offense in terms of what's better. Fulham, of course, will also be getting the benefit of getting all their Nigerian players back from the African Cup of Nations. I think they've been sorely missed. Callum Bass in defense, Alex Iwobi and Chukwueze in midfield for them. I think that's going to help them. Brighton is still a team that's really tough to know what to expect from. They are really up and down depending on the game. So yeah, a draw seems likely with these two like mid-table-ish teams. We're just going with a bit of a different score, 1-1 compared to 2-2 from you. And now we come to Man City against Wolves, which is a game that you wanted to talk about. For me, I don't really know what to make of City. I think this is like the one, like, if they want to prove that they have anything to do in the title race, they need to sort of do what you've predicted and win 4-1 here, I think. Because if they just like skimp by and get like a really like small win against Wolves, it'd still be a bit hesitant. And especially if they don't get a win, if they get a draw or something like that now, I'd be more fearful of them losing second place than challenging for first, basically. So yeah, I'm just wondering, like, of course, your prediction sort of tells the story here, 4-1, but how likely do you think it is that City are looking like prime, proper City again? Or do you think they are kind of exhausted? Like, what do you make of City in general? Like, why have they struggled so much lately? Is it just like a blip, or is it a sign of things to come, basically?
I think it's a bit of a blip, but I'm also thinking Holland has been such a question mark this season.
Yeah.
From starting red hot to now missing chances that he would never have missed when he was in form. Against Glimt, against United, against Brighton, against like he's hitting the post constantly. He's missing out on these like sort of tap-ins that are available to him, and like only he's capable of scoring those sort of tap-ins because they come up high and he's acrobatic enough to get these sort of things. And things have just not been going his way. I mean, maybe he just needs to put on the Norway kit again to get in form,
Yeah,
and just yeah, it's just incredible seeing him sort of flail about. Foden is also gone completely missing. I've really liked what I've seen of Semenyo, and I think
yeah,
Semenyo is going to add a lot of um, practicality to the team and firepower. Um, Obviously, Mark Gray being a part of the team in this very injury prone defense that they have is going to do wonders. I thought Donnarumma has been great throughout. I don't
yeah,
assign him too much blame to some of their losses and draws and stuff like that. If anything, I feel like he's been keeping them in a
yeah,
lot of these games. So I do think it's a bit of a blip. I think City are capable of so much more. Obviously, Rodri's now back to being able to play and not, be out again for 3, 4 weeks at a time. So slowly but surely, I think they'll be able to build from that. Obviously, the loss to Bodø/Glimt was really bad, but I think it's just one of those cases of classic, you know, you're the favorite team, it goes against the run of play, and then you just concede everything, right? And every chance that they had, they basically scored, which is credit to them and credit to them. Are they one of that has to be fake grass, right? That can't have
yeah, yeah,
been
artificial grass. Yeah, 100%.
yeah, it's definitely turf. So
Yeah.
yeah, kudos to them for playing on turf, those pricks. So, but no, in all seriousness, I do think that this is the sort of game. I've been saying it a lot because usually these are the sort of matches, like you say, you have to win big. They're, doing terribly in the league and whatnot. So, yeah, City have to go back to fighting spirits. And I think the key to that is to get Haaland amongst the goals because he could single-handedly get them to win the league because he was that good to begin the season and for a long period. But then is this the new normal for Holland now? Is this what he does? Is because you can't go from, literally breaking the goal scoring record and all this type of stuff to now doing similar things in the beginning of the season and then go completely missing. Of course, they've had injuries and stuff like that. Sharky was injured, this player was injured, that player was injured, and stuff like that. But now there's no more excuses. Marmoush is back from AFCON duties as well, so they have additional firepower there as well. So I think I just need to see a little bit more from them. But this is going to be the game where they do it, and I think they're gonna.
Mm.
I personally think they're going to win comfortably.
Yeah.
I'm just annoyed at not knowing who it's going to be coming from because that's the forever question, right? But I do think Semenyo is going to be amongst the goal scorers, and I do think Holland's going to get a few penalties here. So, yeah, maybe that's what they need to regain their season. Obviously, Rodri's not going to play in the match against Galatasaray because he's got a stupid double yellow. So, yeah, I think City are going to win comfortably.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting game. I go with just like a 2-0 win. I think Wolves have shown some signs of life at least, even though it's probably too late because they're going to get relegated anyway. But yeah, I could see this being like a. I think Semenyo and Gehi are going to make a bit of a difference there. And I think especially Gehi defensively, him and Kusanov, I think it would actually be a pretty good center back pairing. Alain had a really bad game against Bodø/Glimt, it should be mentioned. I also think Donnarumma, like the first goal, he could have done better at. Like he sort of got beaten on his near post, which is not really what you should do as a goalkeeper. But apart from that, he's been really good. Like they could have conceded so many more goals against Man United if it wasn't for him. So yeah, he's of course a really good goalkeeper. So yeah, I think they're going to show some defensive solidity now with Gehi. I think both him and Semenyo were sorely missed against Bodø/Glimt because you can't register them for the group play before they go through to the knockout stages. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. But I think City just have more than enough quality to beat Wolves. And I think also historically this has been a pretty good fixture for them. So I could see a 4-1 happening. I could also see a 2-0 happening. And I could potentially see like another point dropped. It could happen. I'm not really ruling out anything when it comes to City because I'm just a bit unsure about them in general now. So I think this is going to be a huge test to see if they are actually worth their weight in gold, if they are potential title contenders, or if they are just going to flop and bottle it basically for the league this season. Now moving on to a team that has already bottled it in Liverpool. They are playing against Bournemouth away. I've gone with a 2-2 draw here because I feel like it is like I feel like the early game, like the first game of the season, it ended 4-2 to Liverpool in the end because Salah got this goal like really late. But it was really close to being a 2-2 game. That was with Semenyo, of course. But now Bournemouth, they are struggling a lot with injuries. Tavernier is now out injured. Semenyo is already left, of course. Cloyford is out injured. They have looked a bit more frail defensively as the season has gone along. So I could easily see them losing against Liverpool as well, of course. Or have you gone 2 on Bournemouth, actually?
I've gone 2 on Bournemouth, yeah.
You've gone 2 on Bournemouth. I've for some reason, I just read it as 2-1 Liverpool, but you've gone with a 2-1 Bournemouth win. So now I'm really curious, like, what do you make of that? Like, how is that you're thinking, basically? Because I was thinking that, like, I was going to try to make the case for why Bournemouth could get a point as compared to a 2-1 loss, but you actually gone with 2-1 Bournemouth win. I have written that down, but I didn't really clock it. So, yeah, why do you think Bournemouth will win now against Liverpool at home?
I'm an Evertonian.
That's it?
No, I seriously, I wrote, you won't believe me, but I actually originally wrote 2-2
Okay.
because I also believe that it's going to be a draw. I just think Bournemouth are pretty good at home, and I think Liverpool are just in a weird flux position. Now, definitely after the Champions League game, I'm like, uh-oh, maybe being that generous to Bournemouth seems really stupid. But yeah, there was no other decision behind it other than screw Liverpool. So, uh, but you know what? Come on, Bournemouth. You managed to stupidly draw against Brighton, but you're saving all your powers for Liverpool. So that's why I think Petrovic will score a bicycle kick to bring it into 2-1. But in all seriousness, it's actually the only joke result to have here. I think a draw is more likely.
Mm-hmm. So you went for a draw, but then you just you're Everton fan and you ticked in and you're just like, screw it, let's
I
go
was
with the
just like, what
Bournemouth
the
win.
hell does Liverpool? Why am I saying anything for Liverpool? Screw them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then they looked pretty good
But
in the Champions League after that.
they looked very good in the Champions League, and all these people who have Soboslai and Frimpong and all of that. Very jealous of you. Will I be joining in on the party? Maybe.
We'll see. Also, Ekitike is going to be an interesting watch in this game because you're both likely selling him now on the wildcard. He could punish us immediately because he has looked pretty good, like in terms of getting chances and stuff, and he's been a bit unlucky not to get points. But yeah, kind of sick and tired of him as well. So kind of happy to see the back of him. But anyways. But that is the first half of the games. Now it is your turn, I guess, to go and talk about all the other games that we've predicted here with our scores and stuff, and giving me a question for the Arsenal Man United game where we have pretty similar but slightly different results as well.
Yeah. So in the next half of games, we've gone with the Brentford win. Both of us saying 3-1. I guess we just don't trust Brentford defense, even though they've been pretty on and off as of late. But seems like a comfortable win. Seems like a eager Thiago show, hopefully. But it could be Kevin Schade as well. I think he's been looking really good and really unlucky to be hitting the crossbar and the post as much as he has. But seems like a comfortable win for Brentford, which is good for West Ham as well. So happy days. In the next game, we have gone with the Crystal Palace Chelsea. We both have gone with the Chelsea win, which is surprising. I thought you would definitely clown on them and hate on them and whatnot. But we've gone with the comfortable, well, in your case, comfortable win, maybe. I think it'll be a bit closer. Yeah, I think Palace are at a weird state right now where they've sold their best defender and one of their probably their best player in a long while. They look like they're going to be selling their striker as well this month as well, which is absolutely crazy. They have a lot of good, talented players, so I think the future is bright with Crystal Palace. But the minute Glasner goes as well, it's going to be dark times
Yeah.
for Crystal Palace. So fair enough. Chelsea, won comfortable. Well, not comfortably. I mean, they should have won pretty hard against Paphos in that game, but maybe the David Luiz effect was what scared them. Yeah, seems like a easy win there. In the Newcastle Aston Villa game, which can be really hit and miss depending on which Newcastle team you get and which Aston Villa team you get. They look good. As of late, Aston Villa, of course, have looked even better, but we both think that the home side will win pretty easily. But now comes the, of course, really fun game because it's been a lot of this from Arsenal fans. It's been a lot of that from United fans because, of course, United fans are the history channel of Premier League fans as of right now because, of course, they're still talking about the wonderful achievements that they got with Sir Alex Ferguson, which was again 13 years ago. So I don't understand why they're hating on Arsenal fans so much just because Arsenal are at the cusp of winning it all this year. But we've gone with both home wins. We both think that United are good enough to score in this game. But my question to you in regards to the match itself is out of more interesting than Arsenal because I feel like Arsenal players are set. You know which players you want to get.
Hmm.
But who would you get for Man United in this match and why?
For this particular match,
Yes.
I
And
think,
going forward, I guess.
yeah, I mean, for this lone match, I think it's only Bruno Fernandes that I would be interested in, just because he has like a pretty high floor. Like he's most likely going to get DEFCON points from this game, I imagine, because there are going to be a lot of
Mhm.
defensive contributions to be had. So he has like a pretty good floor. If he gets an assist somehow and he has those contributions and stuff, he could get bonus points. So I think he's like the only player that I would look at for this particular fixture. But of course, long term, we're going to go more into that pretty soon now with the Wildcard teams and stuff. But I think Dorgu is like an interesting case. He's one that I've been considering as well on my wildcard because he's really cheap. Like the upside is just too great to ignore. He was so good this past game week against City as well, as we both painfully got to witness with him on our bench. So yeah, I think Dorgu is like a nice guy to have off the bench, I guess, if you need someone.
Mhm.
But I think Bruno Fernandes is like the only main guy I want starting from Man United here, if I were to choose any Man United players to start this game week. So yeah, it's basically just Bruno Fernandes or bust when it comes to Man United players, I think.
Fair enough. And my other question in regards to this is the template, would you say it's the template three that you'd pick from Arsenal? Rice, Timber, and Gabriel.
For me, I'm leaning that way just because Saka has just been so disappointing. Like he hasn't really done much all season, really, when it comes to FPL points. Rice has just outscored him in general. Like even before he had the 2 goals against Bournemouth, he's been outscoring Saka and been a better avenue for points. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Rice over Saka for my midfield spot, and I feel like the Arsenal defense is still super viable, especially with both Gabriel and Gabriel is essential. Like he is just amazing. I remember a couple game weeks back when we both brought him in. You said like, is it important to get him straight away? And I was just like, yeah, you don't want to go with Gabriel again or without Gabriel again. And he scored immediately, of course, after making that huge mistake against Bournemouth as well. But since then, like he's just been getting points every single game week. Like he is that good. He's about to go up to 6.9 in price, and he's worth it. Which is kind of crazy, but yeah. So yeah, Gabriel, definite given. Rice also definitely given. So it's down to Timber or Saka as the final spot for me, I think. Wouldn't really touch their striker situation currently. Gyökeres and Gabriel Jesus both scored against Inter, so they could be good. Yeah, Gyökeres, I still have the faith. Like a lot of people are clowning on him, and I think we're both like kind of fans. Like you're Swedish, of course. You know how good he can be, like even for Sweden, like not just for Sporting, but like for Sweden as well. He's been really good alongside Isak. Like you can compare and contrast him and Isak, and not this season Isak, but previous Isak, like in top form. Gyökeres has been right there with him for Sweden. Like they've been really good, both of them. So despite having a bad manager, but anyways, or bad managers even. But I think if it's down to Timber or Saka, and I've had Timber this whole season almost, it feels like. I've backed him for a long time, and I think I'm just gonna keep at it with him. But Saka would be the other one potentially. Is there anyone else? I can't trust Ødegaard. Trossard is like more on and off with Martinelli. Raya is like, nah, I don't like goalkeepers from those teams. Saliba is just worse than the other defenders. Like I don't think there's anyone else that I'm like really considering from Arsenal. So yeah, it's either Timber or Saka with the final spot. Gabriel and Rice as the locked on players, basically.
No, for sure. The only question I might have to you is if we knew who was nailed between Gyökeres and Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
Would you go with either one of them?
Or Havertz is also another alternative there. But like, if they had like a 90-minute game striker, then I could see myself going with that. Especially in the Champions League, they've been really good. But I think it's just in the Premier League in general, there's been so many defensive teams. Like, I think heard the stat thrown around that there's already been more 0-0 games so far this season than we've had all of last season, and this is only halfway through the season. So yeah, it just seems like more teams are going low block against Arsenal and in general, and that's going to make it tougher for a striker like Gyökeres, for example, or even Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I had Gyökeres at the start of the season when I thought he was going to play 90 minutes every game and potentially being on penalties, and that helped me out in Game Week 2 when he scored twice against Leeds. But yeah, for now, I would stay away, I think, even if I had 90 minutes. I don't know. I think there's just too many good options there to go with like any of the strikers, because Jesus is coming back from injury like not too long ago. He's still working his way back into fitness, looking a lot better now with the goals against Inter. And Gyökeres also sort of finding his way at Arsenal, so I don't really trust them yet, even if they were to play 90 minutes. But that's not the case. We have both Jesus and Gyökeres, and Havertz also being there. So I think the minutes is just making them a no-go right now.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I just drank something way too fast, and now I've been struggling with that ever since. So in the final game, we have Everton versus Calvert-Lewin. We lost the first game actually against Leeds in a 1-0 loss. Bullshit penalty, in my opinion, and all this type of stuff. But yeah, I think we both figured Everton are at home. They're looking really inconsistent, but this seems like a sort of match where they can win comfortably, happily, and now with both Gay and Njai back as well, it should look a lot better for Everton, generally speaking, as well. Comfortable 2-0 win, and hopefully that'll be that. I mean, I'd be really frustrated and annoyed if A, Calvert-Lewin scores, and B, if Leeds manage to win again, because that is a team we should be beating at home. And I think we will be beating them at home. And that concludes the fixtures for this game week, and back to you.
Yes, and yeah, like you just mentioned, this was part of the first game week. Like, all these matches are from game week 1, just reversed, basically. We had Arsenal beating Man United at Old Trafford 1-0. You had a 0-0 draw between Newcastle and Aston Villa, I remember. Was it a 1-1 draw or something between Palace and Chelsea? With the goal disallowed, like the Eze free kick that was disallowed stupidly.
No, it was it 0-0?
Maybe it was 0-0, yeah. Yeah, it was 0-0. Sanchez kept a clean sheet because of that essay thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
because of
that.
a random push or whatever, which wasn't really a push.
Yeah, and Nottingham Forest actually beat Brentford 3-1. Like, start of the season, we thought Brentford would be going down, and now they're like 5th, which is crazy. Not really a good sight for Thomas Frank there, that Brentford is better without him, and he's struggling so bad at Spurs. But yeah, Bournemouth Liverpool, like I mentioned previously, 4-2 for Liverpool. City against Wolves. I can't even remember that. Oh yeah, that was Reinders being amazing.
Reinders
maybe he's the missing
getting
piece.
A brace in that game.
Maybe he's gonna turn it up again. Maybe it's season 1, episode 2 finally. We'll see.
Although he's done alright.
He's been pretty good lately. Yeah. We were so hyped on it early preseason, and then when he had that game against Wolves, we were just like, yeah, dude, like, this is good in the gun, 2.0, like 100%. But yeah, lately he's actually been good, and he's just another one like they have to juggle between. Like, their squad is like struggling in a lot of areas, but when it comes to like creative attacking midfielders or central midfielders or / wingers, basically, like they are completely stacked. Like, it's crazy. Like, we talked about Marmoush earlier. He's back, and he has really no way into the team as of right now. Maybe as a striker for Haaland, potentially could be his best way into the team, which is saying something, because they have just like Cherky, Foden, Semenyo, Doku, Reinders, like Rodri's playing, Bernardo Silva's playing pretty much every game. So there's not many positions to choose from there. Oscar Bob is already on the outs. He's leaving potentially for Fulham, which would be a really interesting move. I think that's the big rumor now, either Fulham or Dortmund. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see in general. But City, confusing team. I'm very interested to see what happens with them in general. And not just for this week, but also for the long-term future. We can look at the fixture ticker as well and look at the teams that have the best fixtures. Chelsea, by far, in the next 6 game weeks, they have just amazing fixtures, starting with Palace away now, which is a nice fixture, but then West Ham at home, Wolves away, Leeds at home, Burnley at home. Like, you don't get much better than that for fixtures this season. But I'm also like a bit worried with Chelsea because they are the type of team to turn up against like big teams, and like we've seen them beat Barcelona, we've seen them get a draw with 10 men against Arsenal, we've seen them get a draw against City recently. Like they're up for the big games, but in these games they've struggled a bit more. I mean, they beat West Ham 5-1, so that could be a nice game for them again, potentially. Um, but yeah, so just what do you make of Chelsea? And like that's the team we're going to talk about a lot with the wildcard drafts and stuff. But Chelsea, like, which options? Like, if you were to list like the top three Chelsea options for you, like, what would that be right now?
They're so inconsistent and so such a transitional period right now that I would honestly say, you know, if we know for sure that Palmer's playing and starting and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, because now I remember reading something which said actually that Palmer is fine for the like
Yeah, the
he
Athletic
kind
had.
of went saying that he's actually completely fine for the weekend match. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Palmer, I would say Enzo, and I would say one of their defenders or even Sanchez as their best sort of players. But it's really confusing because unfortunately they are just playing really poor football as of right now. Because like, yes, they won 1-0 today, but they apparently didn't look great and yeah, it's really weird considering they have 5 million players in every position.
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that they would be able to get some more consistency out of them, but I don't know what is currently going on at Chelsea. But out of the players that I would pick, obviously Enzo's great, Palmer's great, and I think honestly one of their defenders. I'm more and more convinced maybe not to have Juan Pedro
Yeah.
in my team. Which spoiler, I currently do,
Yeah.
because I do think that the fixtures dictate that he will come good for them, and
Scored a nice goal.
West Ham. West Ham at home, Wolves away, Leeds,
Mm-hmm.
Burnley, like that run of you need to almost yeah, you do have to have a triple up of Chelsea players. It's just a question of which ones and you know, feel like these are the sort of matches where Palmer could go insane as well. So it's gonna be a real tough call on at the end who I end up picking. But as we both noticed and saw, Enzo played the 10 today. He looked actually really good from the highlights that I saw. Um, so it's going to be a really confusing time with Chelsea assets, but you got to go with triple up, especially in this next couple of games. And if you are wildcarding this week, you should 100% get that sorted. But and if you don't and you wildcard next week, then 100% have fun and go nuts. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to as to who, because again they're so weird. They're possibly the weirdest top six club currently. They're in such flux. It's really weird to watch.
Yeah. And obviously, they also had a new manager since the last time we talked,
Yeah.
Lemur Senior, who's been a manager at Strasbourg previously, Blueco international type of hire there,
Mm-hmm.
company hire, company promotion, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, for him. They've had
Yeah.
2 games so far with him in charge against Brentford, 2-0 win, and Pafos 1-0 win. 2 wins out of 2, I guess. But what do you make of Chelsea so far with those 2 games in mind? Like, do you think they're gonna get a bit of a manager boost with him, or do you think it's just gonna be more of the same from them? And do you think, and how do you think like
Yeah, I
him
mean,
coming in changes their team as well?
no, I mean, let's think about it. Since since he came, he lost to Fulham, right? In his first,
Was he in charge there, or was he just on the in the stands?
he might have been in the stands. So maybe the first real game was
I think it
the
was,
one against um because what it was City.
or maybe
What
it
is
was
it?
Fulham.
City
Yeah, City.
stands.
City was with the interim guy.
Yeah, who managed to get a draw and all that. And then yeah, they lost to
Fulham.
Fulham, and then they won against Brentford. And if you look at their between game week 17 until 21, It's 2 losses and 3 draws, obviously, which is why the whole Maresca thing happened. And yeah, even if with Chelsea's wins this season, a lot of them have been against lesser sides. So this is probably where they will hit their stride. Everyone will buy into them, and life will be good until they meet some teams of a medium level and higher, and everything's going to come crashing down again. So I personally think this is an extremely weird hire. I don't get it. Like, yeah, he's, Blue Co and whatnot, but they could have probably kept Maresca or just consider some other alternative options. I'm sure there must have been someone better than him. Like, even Strasbourg fans and whatnot think he's like all right at best. So it's a bit of a question mark in my opinion, but I guess give him time because he has just been hired, and this is the easiest way of getting a feel for him. If he fails to get some points in these matches when it's so favorable and lopsided for Chelsea, like Crystal Palace away can sort of go one or the other way, but you would think West Ham's a win. You would think Wolves is a win. You would think is a win, and you certainly think that Burnley is a win. But then again, they also lost to Sunderland back in the day when
Lost against Leeds,
they were
did they?
sort of.
At Ellen Road?
I can't remember.
I think they did.
I can't remember how.
It was. I think it was the game
it-
after they drew Arsenal. They lost to Leeds.
Yeah, 3-1.
Yeah.
Crazy, but yeah, and then of course beat Everton 2-0 because Palmer all of a sudden decided to come back and
Because
be an
Everton is
asshole,
usually
so.
good. But can we also just we just talked about their manager and sacking managers, and that's par for the course for Chelsea. They sack their manager every year and a half, basically. 6-year contract until 2032 for the senior. like, how many managers do you think Chelsea will have between that time frame, between now and 2032?
4?
Yeah, like how are they giving these contracts? It is to work around like the FFP rules and stuff like that.
Yes,
They're changing the rules now in terms of the sanctions for like economic use and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. But kind of crazy. I think Chelsea are a bit of a strange team. Yeah, like you just said, it's really hard to know with them. And especially also with these fixtures, like I'm not really confident in any player that much. So in terms of the same question for me, like which Chelsea assets I'm looking at, like I think Sanchez is like a pretty good goalkeeper to go with. Seems like he's going to be stuck as the number one goalkeeper for Chelsea. He's had like a pretty decent season. Had some pretty nice saves against Brentford as well this past game week, even though he had some mistakes the game prior to that. But yeah, I think he's looking pretty good, like fairly cheap, completely nailed in a defense that should keep some clean sheets in these next 5 games. I think it's pretty good games for defenders, really. Chalobah, of course, is like the one constant in central defense, but he's 5.5. He might also go up in price tonight, by the way, so maybe you should also just buy him just in case. There's like a small chance that it goes up in price as we're recording this after midnight, going into Thursday. So yeah, Chalobah potentially. Reece James, like, do you trust him?
No, because he seems to not be able to play several matches in a row.
Yeah,
and that's a problem because I had Reece James and he got benched in a clean sheet and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, bad history with him.
yeah, I mean Fulham away 25 minutes, Bournemouth at home 45 minutes,
Yeah.
then
It's
some
like,
90, 90, 90, 99, 90, and then
it's like
0.
every other game, yeah, like you said.
Yeah,
84, 25, 90, 45, 90, 90, 90.
He got to play in midfield, which was really cool
Yeah.
for Chelsea in the Champions League game. So he might be able to get more minutes, but I don't know, man. It's such a weird time at Chelsea right now.
Yeah, that's still the issue. Like, I know Chalobah's going to play, and I'm pretty sure Kukurea is going to play, but I just, like, he hasn't looked quite as offensive as he did last season, even under Maresca, and I'm not sure if that's going to be the case now either. He's like a fun differential, I guess, if you want to go there, but I don't think there's any signs pointing to him being like aggressively offensive like he has been in previous seasons. But But yeah, Chalaba is like a pretty safe choice in defense. The other centre back seems like they're changing between Badiashile, Tosin, and Fofana. I think Fofana is quite clearly the best out of those guys, but he also can't play every game week because he's also like a bit of an injured crook. Gusto is playing at right back when James is playing in midfield, but I can't really trust his playing time either. Like Reece James is too much in and out of the team and in and out of right back for me to trust Gusto either, but he has really high upside. He could be a nice differential as well. Palmer's, of course, like another thing. Like he is struggling with injuries here and there. It seems like, according to the Athletic, he's 100% medically cleared, but now he didn't play. Wasn't even in the squad in the Champions League because he's felt some issue with his thigh. It's apparently going to be fine for the weekend. My theory when it comes to Palmer and Chelsea in general, I think they're going to focus on just getting top 5 in the league. That's like their main focus now. Part of the reason why they sacked Maresca, I think. So I think they're going to just keep Palmer for the league games, which is obviously what we want as FPL managers. And that's why I'm still intrigued by him, but just doesn't feel too confident having him either. But he's like the main question, I think, for a wildcard, either in Gaming 23 or in Gaming 24. He's the one thing you have to solve because he's so expensive that he can give you, like, if you don't go for him, you can have so much more money available for the rest of your squad. And also, if he's not playing, Enzo's going to play in the 10. He's going to be more further forward. He could be on Pence if Joe Pedro is subbed out as well. So, yeah, Palmer is like the key question. Like, how fit is he? Is he ready to play a lot of minutes? Is he ready to play a lot of matches in the league? That's the main thing with Chelsea. Yeah, they are good offensively, but it's just really tough to trust any other attacking players, potentially Enzo Fernandez, but we both have some like not so good experiences with Enzo Fernandez this season as well. Pedro Neto's playing most games. He had a bit of a purple patch previously in the season, but he's getting slated again by most Chelsea fans. So I don't really know if I can trust him either with Esteval and Garnacho and Gittins even at those winger positions. So Chelsea are just a really confusing team. But let's move to a more like easy to read team. Manchester United, like in most regards at least. Bruno Fernandes just seems like a lock now. He seems fantastic attacking midfield. He was immense against City, like a lot of other players. He seems like a lock. But apart from that, as I'm about to lose my voice, any other Man United players you think that you are considering as well for a wildcard, like apart from Bruno? Gonna get some glass
Obviously,
of water.
yeah. Obviously, I think Embuemo looks great. He has looked like the Embuemo of the Brentford days. I would also, yeah, man, I would actually also consider Diallo. I think Diallo has looked really good since AFCON, basically. Um, did really well for Ivory Coast. I'm lucky enough to do and get more there. So I think he could be a really fun differential. I don't know if you can hear anything of what I'm saying, but um, yeah, I think Ahmad could be a fun differential at 6.2 as well. Obviously, Dorgu comes up with the assists normally, but now is also getting goals. I'm a bit confused as to what his playing time is going to be like going forward. But you know, I think he's should be their starting left back going forward because I think he's that good. I think he should be their starting left back, and it's just a question of whether they believe. But I know they love Luke Shaw as well, so it is confusing. Um, but I think Ahmad looks great, and Embuemo looks great, and of course Bruno Fernandes is top and against you know the likes of Fulham and like Everton and like these sort of teams. He loves to do something. He's by far Man United's best player, you know, of the most recent years. But Man United fans will still bitch because he's a little bitch. But who cares? He
Yeah.
can be a little bitch. He has played so good that he's allowed to moan and stuff like that. I don't care that he's your captain and blah 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 blah. Like he's earned his spot in the team and he continues to show greatness. I mean, getting DEF CON and stuff like that in itself is just unreal considering the player that he is. So yeah, I think it's those three. I don't like their goalkeeper. I think he's super average, but people are like, "Oh, he's better than Onana." And I'm like, "Is he?" I think they're equally as good, which is not saying very high praise of either. So, and
I
I think
mean,
Onana again.
Man United
Uh,
Onana, no. Onana Inter, yeah, he's better. But like,
he was incredible, but
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I would say it's. I think Ahmad has also shown that he deserves more love, FPL wise as well. He looked really good against City and
Mhm.
probably should have done more than what he did. But Embuemo, Bruno Fernandes seems like the ones, and hell, even Mason Mount if he gets more playing time.
Yeah, that's the issue though.
He has that's the issue. He's a bit of a roulette, but when he plays, he's been quietly turning up for them this season, which has been interesting to see. But that's also why he spent 60 million or whatever the hell you paid for him. So yeah,
Hmm.
but I would say it's those three.
Yeah, I think Amadeo is a really good shout. He's 6.2 in fantasy as well, which is a really nice price. If you can't afford Mbemo, for example, you can go with him instead.
Hmm.
So I think he's like a pretty good option. But I think like it's like you mentioned Mason Mount. Like I think it's going to be tough for him and the likes of Cesco as well to play. Like Cunha wasn't even playing in City, and it looked that
Yeah.
amazing with Dorgu, Fernandez, and Bremo up front, even and Diallo on the right. Like they have a lot of good players in those positions as well, kind of like their Manchester counterparts in City. They also, of course, now the one of the other main reasons why they did sack Amarim was the fact that they didn't play Kobe Mainu, and he played 90 minutes against City, and looked amazing, of course, because he is just a really good talent. So he's going to be in midfield. It seems like Casemiro and him is going to be the central pairing there, and then they're going to have like a lot of those different attacking players that we just mentioned offensively. So yeah, I think Amadelo is a really good shout. Actually, he's someone that I have also like not considered enough probably in my wildcard drafts, but he is someone that I am potentially looking at if I want to save some money from Mbuemo, for example. I could go that way. But yeah, just speaking of the wildcard, I have also made a wildcard draft, of course, this week in the weekly wildcard draft series, as I always do, and which we usually talk about on the podcast. But now it's actually the proper wildcard team that I've gone with for now. And this is the first time you're seeing it, I think, because you haven't seen the video yet.
Hmm.
It's pretty similar to yours, which we'll get to eventually as well. There are some key differences, I guess, which we'll also get into. But yeah, this is my team currently as it stands. Anything that sticks out to you, anything that surprises you in terms of like, oh, I didn't think about that player, or oh, you're going for that guy, or any players that you're wondering about when it comes to my ranking, for example. Because I have Palmer 14th, for example, because I'm really unsure with him, with his pricing and yeah, just everything around him, his injury issues and stuff. I'm not quite sure about him, but yeah, anything that sticks out to you with this team?
Not necessarily. It's just oddly looks very familiar in regards to a lot of the players, but other than that, nothing that really sticks out. And I don't think the only question, I guess, is the question of Embuemo or Enzo and all these sort of things. But
Mm-hmm.
I like what I'm seeing here. Am I gonna change my team to this potentially? Because again, I don't know what to th what to think of Juan Pedro. Because when he's great.
He's
You
also
know.
really streaky. That's the thing with Joe Pedro. We can actually just like, should we just go to your team as well, just to compare and
Yeah.
contrast?
Yeah.
This is your team currently as it stands right now. You have a couple key
Hmm.
differences. I think the main guys, like the ones that we share, are Sanchez, Gabriel, Timber, Fernandez, Semenyo, Rice, Holland, Thiago, Dubravka,
Yeah.
and Miley. So 10 out of
Yeah.
15 players are the same. But the differences for
Yeah.
you is you have Tarkovsky, you're going with Enzo rather than Palmer,
Hmm.
which gives you more money to upgrade Krupi Jr. to Joe Pedro. And then you have Goodmanson and Reinildo. Reinildo and Michaela are sort of similar, I guess, in terms of that. But you have Goodmanson
Yeah.
as like another cheap option rather than Dorgu. So those
Hmm.
are like the five key differences. Pretty similar
Yeah.
teams. But in terms of like the players that we both share in common, are there any one of those guys that you're like unsure about when it comes to Sanchez, Gabriel, Timber, Fernandez, Semenyo, Rice, Holland, Thiago,
Yeah, I mean,
mainly?
obviously the rice thing might be. I do like Saka because he is capable of so much more, but he hasn't been doing it. So I do understand downgrading him as well. So I do. I think it's Rice and Enzo makes me scared of Palmer or Saka or not having one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think, and more likely due to their forms, I would say I'd more likely have Palmer over Saka, which means that I'll have Rice over Enzo. Um, and I do have 1.2 in the bank, and I also have Juan Pedro, who can easily become someone else to become
Yeah.
Palmer. So yeah, things can be played around with and fixed there. And But yeah, other than that, I don't feel too bad about any of these guys. Maybe the only thing that I might be slightly frustrated with is the lack of Liverpool, the lack of Aston Villa,
Yeah.
which could come and bite me in the ass, especially with Verts in pretty good form and Salah being back now too, which is super question mark there. But of course, he's way too expensive as of currently because both him and Holland would make my team so much worse as of current, and they're not even performing to those standards that they are. Even Holland is frustrating me to no end, and people who are going with no Holland or have gone with no Holland the last couple of weeks, well done.
Like my dad.
So sure, and yeah, but I am pretty stuck on a lot of these players. I think Sanchez is a good pick for the upcoming fixtures. Gabriel and Timber, obviously the best defense in the league right now, but could easily concede against Man United because Man United are just playing really well. With Carrick, Semenyo, I think is just going to be playing now and
Mm-hmm.
has shown that this is the reason why he got signed. He got signed, and it was, Classic City would be signing him and just not playing him,
Yeah.
but he's instantly made an impact with them and starting pretty regularly and probably would have started against Bodø/Glimt, but of course can't be in the league phase of the Champions League and all that.
Which is a plus for us in FPL because he's going to play more league games.
Yes,
He's going to be rested.
yes,
So how
yes.
locked, like,
And
in terms of Semenya, because he's one of the players that I'm like, I want to give him at least this game week to show his worth. I
yeah,
think he's a really good player, of course. I'm a huge fan of his
yeah.
from before, and I think he's going to be a really nice fit for City. But like, I'm still unsure about City, so I'm gonna give him this chance to prove himself. But is he like a long term? Is he something you can see like keeping for the long haul, or is it more like a short term punt while he's still getting rested in the Champions League? Because that's gonna happen until March, most likely. Like, it depends a bit. But if they get into the playoffs, they might get some matches in February in Champions League. But if they go through as one of the top eight in the Champions League phase, they won't play in the
Mhm.
Champions League again until March, which will mean more rest as well in general. Um, so yeah, what do you recommend,
Yeah.
Semenya? Is he like a long-term hold or long-term type of pick for you, or is he like a short-term? Let's see what he has and let's see how City are currently, which is
I
more
think
where
I
I'm
think because
at.
of his price point and everything, it's an easy move, easy hold sort of player because he's not overly expensive. Like next year, he's gonna be like an 8.5 sort of midfield. It's gonna be so confusing with City going forward,
Yeah.
but as of current, I think he's just a fun little differential pick and is playing, looks good. Scored in the Capital One Cup or whatever the Carabao Cup, whatever they call it
League
now.
Cup,
Uh,
safe option.
Scored in that, looked good in the league, looked good just in general. Beat Spurs as a final send off, did what Isak should have done with Newcastle and all this type of stuff. So yeah, I think he's just a fun little pick to have.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Shirky's cheaper, but we don't know the current state of him, even though he just scored in against Bodø/Glimt, so should be really starting. It should probably be him, and it should be Foden getting benched, if I'm gonna be real.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, but I think he has to be nailed for the league. So, and considering their run of fixtures, considering that it's Wolves at home, I feel like it's gonna be a Semenyo show sort of match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the Wolves at home game is just too good to pass up. But after that, I could see myself like I'm sort of leaning towards potentially having zero point 0.5, 0.7 ish in the bank in case I want to do Semenyo to Mbeumo next week after Semenyo or Mbeumo's finished with Arsenal and they have really good fixtures. I might do that move, but I'm also like, yeah, Semenyo and Palmer. I think I'm very confident in Semenyo long term, but I just really want Mbeumo as well because that's one of the issues that I have, I guess, with your wildcard team. You only have one Man United player after how they looked now against City. I think even
Mhm.
Amodello, who you mentioned, he could be a really nice fun differential for you in midfield. Like if you downgrade Joao Pedro, you could have him rather than Miley, for example. I think that would be an interesting thing for you potentially. But yeah, and Mbeumo is on my mind as well. Man United, Dorgu is someone that I have in my own drafts. I also want to talk about Tarkovsky because he's a bit of an outlier. I haven't really seen him in many like wildcard drafts type of situations, but He's obviously DEFCON monster. We know how good he can be. We also know that Everton usually are a late team in terms of getting a lot of clean sheets for the season. Branthwaite is going to come back. He's back in full training now, I think, as well, potentially, or like
Sort of. I
sort of.
feel like it's grass, but
Yeah,
like not fully, but yeah, good enough ish.
yeah. Kept the clean sheet against Aston Villa now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm just wondering about Tarkowski, and also like the issue I have with Tarkowski that I had preseason as well was the fact that I feel like I don't really trust him to start. I wouldn't trust to start him in like these tougher games. But that's often where Everton all of a sudden get these clean sheets. So it's like I would want to bench him in some game weeks, and I'm fearing that I can bench him, and then all of a sudden he has like a clean sheet and DEFCON type of game against a really tough opposition, and then you start him against like a weaker team, and then he concedes. Because I feel like Everton are a bit random this season. It seems like you've gotten a lot of really good results, a
Hmm.
lot of really bad results. So for me, I think I would be more inclined to going with Pickford, who I just have to start every week. I'm just forced to start him, and he can get a lot of saves against the bigger teams, even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet. Like I think I would lean more towards Pickford if I was going to go for an Everton defender or Everton, defensive player. But I do get it from Tarkowski, like defensive contribution type of point, and also like Sanchez and Tarkowski is cheaper than Pickford, who's more expensive than Sanchez, and Chalobah, who's about the same price as Tarkowski. So yeah, what do you reckon with Tarkowski in that regard? Like, how is he? Like, is he nailed in your team? Like, how confident are you about him and Everton? Do you feel like you need to have an Everton defender or Everton player? Is there any other Everton players, since you are an Everton fan, that you think will be good? Like, what do you reckon with Everton players
Yeah,
going
I
forward?
mean, um, I think it's like we've kept 9 clean sheets, and some of the clean sheets, like you said, have been against pretty improbable teams, like Aston Villa in both games, actually.
Yeah,
Nottingham Forest away, Nottingham Forest at home as well, if I remember correctly. So as for just there, Burnley away, his former club, Man United away because of the Dewsbury Hall goal, and yeah, we won 1-0. I believe if I'm gonna look, have a quick look.
Bournemouth away.
Brighton, yeah,
Bournemouth
yeah,
away is a really
and
good.
Bournemouth
Man
away.
United away,
Again,
Bournemouth away.
it's a lot of away
Yeah.
clean sheets as well, which is yeah, which
Aston
makes
Villa
sense
home and away,
considering the fact that
Brighton.
he, I mean, he sets up not to lose away from home, and
Yeah.
that tends to not happen in that regard. It's like we tend to end up winning because we do sort of this defensive style of play, but when we're
Mm.
playing at home, he goes for it and we lose, which it should really be that we should be going for it every single match. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's just one of those things where our, I mean, 9 clean sheets for Everton, who have been so tumultuous, is pretty good. And I think that's why I consider having Tarkowski. He
Yeah.
gets DEFCON all the fucking
Mm-hmm.
time for the most part. And
Clean sheets.
yeah, he's just a solid ass pick in my opinion. But I'm not too in love with having him in that regards too. I could see myself changing him to a like a because he's so close to pricing to like a Frimpong who's a bit
Mm-hmm.
more explosive and all this type of stuff too. So, but he for as a placeholder, yeah, I do think he's a pretty decent pick. Obviously, I would prefer Branthwaite. He's a bit of more of a goal scoring choice and all this type of stuff, but Tarkowski is just solid all around for various reasons, pretty reasonably
Mm-hmm.
priced. Like you said, Pickford is always a good shout as well because he gets the saves and he does pretty good. He has just good matches in him. As one of the best keepers in the league. So the question just ends up being like you said, Man United have been looking good, so just having one asset might not be enough. But again, at 1.2 million in the bank, I
Mm-hmm.
do am considering Palmer. I mean, I had Dorgu, and he got me an assist here, and then should have got me 15 points as well. But of course, that's due to my own reasoning with City. I mean, we've all captain Holland for a reason because we thought he'd score, and of
Mm-hmm.
course he didn't, and they kept the clean sheet, which is insane in itself. So yeah, I would have massively changed the bonus points for him and etc. as well if he had just fucking scored. So yeah, I think Tarkowski will survive the calling game because, of course, with a wild card, things can change as soon as we get more information and all these type of things. But because it's so late in the week, and I believe it's what Bowen against Sunderland as the first match of the game week on Saturday
Yeah.
afternoon. So yeah, I'll just be keeping my eyes peeled for any news and any updates. But I do think out of all the players, it's like Enzo and Tarkowski and Paul Pedro who might get called. I think the
Yeah.
rest of the team is pretty nailed.
Yeah. And you're gonna go with like the cheapest possible bench type of guy again, Reinaldo, Goodmanson, Miley.
Potentially, but again, I think that could be also up. Like Ronaldo might become Dorgu and something like that.
Mm.
So yes, it'll still be
Goodmanson.
very cheap options, but yeah, I might um like I don't know how in love with Dubravka I am, but at the end of the day, he is their starting goalkeeper, so might as well keep him
Could go
because
Darlow.
Darlow could go Darlow, but at the end of the day, Darlow could also,
Be dropped.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's more fickle
Yeah.
in terms of that.
Dubravka's safer.
But Dubravka is definitely going to be their starting goalkeeper until they get relegated. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, but I think I'd say to yeah, 8 players of my starting 11 currently are definitely nailed, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the question of the Chelsea assets that's gonna piss me off until I guess classic Chelsea. I'm gonna have who I think is the right players, and then it's Garnacho with the hat trick. Like,
Yeah. It is. Yeah, that's why I'm struggling with Chelsea myself as well. But yeah, I also asked you about Everton's attacking players because I think that's also interesting. Grealish is now
yeah, sure,
injured, it seems like. But that could also
yeah,
leave it up open for Iliman Njai to play in this favored left wing position. Could also help him in FPL. Like he's 6.2 on
yeah,
pens. He's shown that he can get
yes,
DEFCON points as well. Back from African Cup of
yes,
Nations, which he won. He's just been an amazing player. Like he was really good at the start of the season as well. Like he was a pretty
yeah,
hyped preseason pick and turned out to be like a really consistent like 8 points, 7 points, 5 points, that type of player. No like huge holes. I don't think he has single double digit holes so far this season, but he has a lot of like 7, 8, and 9 pointers.
mhm,
So he's interesting. Garner, we have to just give him some props, like you did already in this podcast, but like also in FPL, like in terms of his last few DEFCON games, like 29 defensive contributions this past game against Aston Villa. That's a record for like for as long as they have like actual defensive contributions counted in FPL, which is crazy. And before that, like 16, 16, 19, 15, 12, 13, hitting DEFCON every single game with Garner. And Dewsbury Hall is still out, so Garner is still on set pieces and stuff as well. Some of them, right?
mm.
He's
Uh,
like he's someone that
yeah,
I've considered as like a backup, like rather than
he,
Miley, for example. Could go with
yeah,
Garner.
he will 1,000,000% lose out on pens now that NJ is back.
Yeah,
But other than that, yeah, he is pretty much our set piece guy. And of course, when KDH is back, KDH will start taking more of those away from him. But he's a really good set piece taker, so I hope to see him continue taking that and just finding his stride like he has done this season. I mean, I've always been high on him and wanted him to start even back when Decor, yeah, Dukes was sort of flailing and stuff. I was just like, he's such a shoe in to start and didn't, and now I'm really grateful that he is getting playtime. And yeah, there's a reason why Man United wanted to sign him back and all this type of stuff too. So
yeah,
yeah, I think he's a DEFCON monster. He's obviously capable of a good goal and assist from time to time, but of course, out of the two, and once KDH is back, I mean, obviously KDH, NGI, and Grealish go above Garner in that regards. I
yeah.
also think that Barry's starting to find his
Yeah,
stride,
that's what I
and
was gonna ask you because I was surprised to see like he started the last 4 games and scored in 3 of them.
yeah, and of course, like against Brentford, it was a little too late, but still great because it's that sort of confidence that you need.
Yeah,
And he's been someone who's been struggling with that. Confidence has been a big talking point with Barry and Beta for that matter. And I would say He's shown, I mean, that goal against Aston Villa is someone who is confident because he holds it up, he chips him, and all this type of stuff. It's brilliant to see. And he is our starting striker.
Hmm.
I knew in the beginning that it was going to take some time to integrate him. That's why I said to people to go for Beto and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But of course, then Beto's issue was not scoring. So, um, but yeah, I think Barry's a good pick for us as well now that he's
Yeah.
starting to get into his stride, and especially as like a cheapo striker just to have as a backup for sure.
5.7. Yeah. It's not that
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah, so some interesting Everton options there as well. I also want to talk about captaincy, like Holland captain. Is that
Mm.
locked for you, or are you kind of tempted by
Yeah.
Semenyo or Thiago, for example?
I don't want to go against Holland in potentially what could be his biggest haul sort
True.
of match. As someone who had Holland game week one against Wolves, he went. I should have captained him instead of Salah in that regards, right?
Yeah,
Because I
you had him
didn't
for game
have.
one. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and he got a brace away from home. Of
Yeah.
course, it's a completely different Holland right now. But considering the going home to Norway and coming without 3 points, he's gonna be, and especially because he is part, he was one of the players who actually paid all those City fans. It was him and some of the other guys who
Yeah,
paid for
the
all their
captains, basically.
travel. So that's someone who's showing a lot of accountability for what he's also been producing, which is not great as of late.
Mm.
So I definitely think this is going to be a game where he's going to do everything and be so desperate to score. And I'll be like,
Any worry that it
I've,
doesn't start? Marmouche back?
there's, you know, I could see them keeping him fresh for the game against Galatasaray.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. But no, I think he'll start. I think he has to start. I think Pep will think like sort of like what they used to do with Ibrahimovic back in the day at Barcelona when he was like maybe he wouldn't start against Atletico Madrid, but then when we're playing like the worst team possible, like Sheris or whatever, he'd be like, "Yep, you're definitely in the starting 11. Yep, Messi will let you take penalty." It's like that sort of thing. I'm not saying that Holland is at that level of desperation, but you're getting there, so he
Mm.
has to sort of do something big here. Of course, it
Yeah.
frustrates me to no end if Marmoush got to start, but I think even if he doesn't start, he will get minutes in that game and score.
Yeah. I think it's also just like pretty safe. Like people are still captaining Holland,
Yeah,
everyone. So it
yeah.
is one of those things that like you don't really lose that much by captaining him, and you could potentially lose a lot if you don't. So that's why I feel like it's sort of comforting to just go with him and then like give him one final chance. And if it doesn't work out now, move on to Bruno Fernandes as captain, primary. It
Yeah.
could be the case. Or Palmer if
Yep.
he shows some worth at all. But yeah. And we also get the double game for Arsenal pretty soon as well. Most likely, gaming 26. So yeah, we'll have some other captaincy options. But yeah, give Holland another chance. Hopefully he starts and does well, I guess. But we'll see with him. But yeah, I'm also probably just going to keep him as captain for now. But I am slightly tempted by Semenyo on the same team. But I don't know. Yeah, I think Holland is just a better option. Yeah. Other than that, your team is yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with your team and how many changes you'll do until the deadline. Basically, I think Tierno Barry is actually an interesting player to have for you, but also Everton players haven't really worked out that well for you this season, so maybe it is better to stay away, I guess. But they are an interesting team, I think, and 9 clean sheets. I'm kind of surprised by that. But that is Everton. Like looking through the games, like it would be so difficult to predict which games they would have gotten clean sheets in. Like losing 3-0 at home to Spurs, who were really bad at the time as well, all of a sudden, and then beating Man United away with 10 men for 80 minutes. It's just really tough to predict Everton, which is why like I'm also like slightly considering Pickford, but I do quite like Sanchez as a goalkeeper option now for Chelsea with all the fixtures that they do have. So yeah, quite a lot of wildcard discussion. Now let's move on to someone that hasn't confirmed that they are going to use a wildcard. Kimo, I think he
Mhm.
is most likely going to stay the course and just do one transfer. And the transfer that I've recommended for him is doing Cunha out because he's playing Arsenal away. He would be benched anyways. And bringing in Edelman and Jai. Speaking of Everton players, Leeds at home is probably one of the best fixtures that you do get as well. Even though Leeds have been slightly more frisky now as the season has gone along, this should be a good game for Njai coming back and playing as a starter for Everton as the penalty taker. So, yeah, that's the move I would do. Cunha to Njai, and that leaves up a spot open for Bruno Fernandes in next game week for Gordon. Gordon has Aston Villa at home. I think Aston Villa are sort of a little bit on the ropes, it seems like. So you could there at home at St. James's Park still get a result from Gordon before he has tougher fixtures after that. So, yeah, Cunha to Njai this week, and then Gordon to Fernandes next week, because a lot of people will want to get Fernandes. Even potentially now already, but I don't think Kimo has enough money in the bank to do that right now. So Cunha to Njai would help in that regard as well. When it comes to like whether to wildcard or not, I think it is an interesting discussion. It depends if O'Reilly is ready to start or not, or Fofana is ready to start. I think if I would do Cunha to Njai, I would start Njai over Fofana most likely and just run with that. I think it's like a decent option. Bowen and Sunderland at home. Thiago he already has, so he has some advantages compared to us. Tavernier is obviously another player he needs to deal with eventually. But yeah, so what do you reckon with Kimo's team? Like, he has an interesting team. It is like borderline a wildcard worthy, whether it's this week or next game week, game week 24. I think I would just stick to the course and then wildcarding game week 24 instead, because you'll get more information and the price changes have already happened at this point if you haven't wildcarded already. So yeah, that would be my plans for Kimo. But yeah, what do you reckon with his team and what he should do? Potentially even like a different transfer if you think he should do something with his defense, for example, which is kind of shambolic right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I suggested the wild card anyways, because there are a lot of glaring sort of things, but you could
Gabriel.
just wait the weekends and see
Yep.
and hope for the best. But yeah, it's not looking good, bruv. There's some players here who could potentially get rested and not even play at all. I mean, in the likes of Tavernier and yeah,
Fofana.
yeah, it's not. Yeah,
Cunha was benched last
it's
time
not
as
great.
well. O'Reilly is a
O'Reilly,
bench
you don't
potential.
know. So yeah, I would suggest a wild card, but it'd be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah,
He's
at
gonna do
least.
some weird move.
Yeah, but at least for Game 24, a wild card seems like
Yeah,
the right thing to do potentially. I mean,
yeah, because there's a
you
lot
could
of
save it.
there's a lot of good matches that he could target as well on in game week 24,
Yeah.
because game week 24 has a lot of favorable fixtures for a lot of teams.
Also, this depends how Chelsea look, because I think they will also have, like,
Mhm.
both City and Chelsea for that matter. They will sort of have auditions this week in Game 23 against Wolves at home for City, Palace away for Chelsea, to sort of make a case whether you should invest in those players or not, basically, for the future. Because, yeah, they have some interesting matches, but I'm just not fully confident in either team. Man United as well, I sort of need to see a bit more and see if they start the same team again, if Dorgu's playing left wing and Dell's playing right wing again. That would make them more interesting options. So I do think that's why I'm leaning more towards Gaming 24 wildcard in this instance, because you get so much more information, and right now you can't really make up the price money, and I don't think like the upgrades to bring in players right now, with Arsenal playing against Man United and some other tough teams playing against each other. He already has Triple City, who maybe plays, maybe starts. I think that's like where I would potentially use the wildcard in 23 would be if I would get some information that either O'Reilly or Foden or both potentially, or even hold on, don't start, then yeah, you could do some changes here. But other than that, I think I would just stick to course and do a wildcard in 24 instead. But I think that's definitely the plan, or should be the plan for Kimo. But enjoy this week. Do you like that as a transfer?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
think it could be a fun thing. You can save. You can pick up some extra funds as well, because obviously you save a little money on Kenya
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy as well. So yeah, yeah, could be very good.
Yeah. So as Kimo's plans, now let's move on to the manager of the week, who wildcarded in game 21. So wildcard is not an option, but that's not really nothing that this manager needs either, because this is a pretty strong team, I think, for this game week. Verts is an interesting option that I'm also like slightly considering for FPL, but I'm also just waiting out the fixtures for Liverpool because they aren't ideal, basically. But yeah, pretty strong team. Cherky is the one guy that I'm like a bit hesitant on. Like, is he gonna start or not now? Like, I'm worried about him. I was really looking into bringing him in gaming 21 and gaming 22, but now he seems a bit more unsure as a starting player there for City. But just one free transfer, 0.0 in the bank, not really much to do. here with this team. So my suggestion would be to just stand pat for now, and see what happens next week. But also, you could also bring in Njai here for Cherky, for example. Could be the case if Cherky is not likely to start. But I think I would do, Saka down to Rice and Cherky up to Fernandes next week instead. Like standing pat now and doing that double move for next week is what I would do in this with this team. What do you reckon with the team in general? It is a bit of a different team because it's a Wildcard 21 team. Not that many people have wildcarded at that moment in time. So, what are like some potential pitfalls and some potential good things about this team going forward, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as mentioned before, there's some players there that some people will be transferring out, so it's good to have some differentials there. Obviously, having Shirky could be a bit of a question mark, but I think it's a good hold for the time being,
Yeah.
considering the fact that did score in the
Yeah.
Champions League game. That's going to be a big takeaway for Pep and for Shirky in that regards. That should garner a start, and considering the fact that he was subbed in for Foden, who looked pretty desolate against Bodø/Glimt. He showed like flashes of okay movement and stuff, but screwed up some passes and did some selfish things. Classic Foden, which is great as a fantasy sort of manager, but awful to see if you were a City fan when he should be really squaring in and stuff like that.
No,
But
Cherky did start. He played the whole
did
game.
he actually start?
He played 90 minutes.
I'm so confused by what
Marmoush came on for Foden.
Of course.
So
Wait,
Cherky, 90 minutes
okay,
in the Champions League. That's why I'm like a bit hesitant when it comes to him. Like I'm not sure if he's starting this week. But at the same time, I got the point that I was just about to make as well with you talking there was like he's shown that even in his 30-minute stints, if he doesn't start, he can actually get assists and goals. He's done that regularly this season.
Of course, because he's just that dangerous of a player. He's arguably one of the. I said it at the time as well that he is one of the best signings they could have made. It's just a question of when he finally gets integrated into the squad. Will he finally get to play? And when he did get to play, he showed his brilliance. So, um, why why did I read that wrong? Just want to see what I saw.
Yeah,
Stupid.
90 minutes is not ideal though for.
Well, he played on the left. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I read it wrong. Yeah, not great, but scored. So
yeah, he did. Got a yellow card, scored, and they lost again. But yeah, I think it's like tough with Turkey because like you can't really sell him because if he starts and against Wolves at home, that's such a good fixture. So yeah, I think just standing pat and just hoping for the best for Turkey. If he plays 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 30 minutes, he still has a chance to make an impact because he is that type of player. So yeah, we'll just keep him, I think, and the rest of the team as well. I think it's looking pretty strong in general, so I wouldn't really do too many changes and just wait it out and see what happens for Game 24 instead. So yeah, that would be my advice. Any other advice you have for this manager? Anything else you could see happening with this team? Barnes and Obi as backups. It's a classic Kevin example. Even you haven't gone that far in terms of getting that cheap backups.
of course not. I mean, I would.
Because there's Sierpens here in the back. Like, how would you get money to upgrade here?
You wouldn't unless you like had to sell certain players.
Saka?
So if
Saka
potentially,
or Palmer,
and
depending on how Palmer looks now against Palace.
yeah, and Palmer against Palace isn't the must. It's not the must-have Palmer game. It's the one after that you really want him for. So, but yeah, the team looks fine, I guess.
West Ham is a tough game, okay?
Did you say as they lost, what, 5-1
Yeah,
in the previous
5-1
game?
at the London Stadium. But we're better away from home, so we'll see. It would be so if after beating Spurs, if we could beat Chelsea as well. Oof. But yeah, not really holding out hope there as a West Ham fan. But yeah, so I think that's really the play. Like, see what happens here with Palmer. If he looks good, back to his best, because he didn't really look that good against Brentford. He got a penalty, pretty lucky penalty, because they won the ball high up the pitch. Like, if he looks good now against Palace, if he starts and plays well there, then yeah, Saka would be the move to get some money in the bank, I think. Could downgrade Tarkovsky after his good game against Leeds. Saying that to someone who has Tarkovsky in his Wildcard team at the moment, but yeah, that's a potential way to getting more money in the bank as well. There are some good cheap options. Reinildo, who you have, for example, is playing 90 minutes every game that he's available for Sunderland, who have been a really good defensive team. So you could save a lot of money there as well. Reece James, who we're both like a bit iffy on, like you could sell him potentially as well, but that would leave you with only one Chelsea player for those really good fixtures. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with this manager and how they manage to go forward with their team. But at least now we've given you some insights into what we would have done with this game week and beyond that as well. And like I said previously, if you want to be the manager of the week as well, you can join the FPL Scope Mini League with the league code FNPQ83. And if you get the highest score in a game week, you'll get featured on the podcast, just like Aravind LFC just was right now. And that brings us to the end of this podcast. I think 1.5 hours of us talking FPL, a lot of wildcard talk, a lot of productive talk as well. I think our teams are going to change a little bit going into the deadline. I'm going to post my team at least on X or Twitter or however you want to call it, to have like the final wildcard draft basically, because I want that for my wildcard draft rankings for next week as well. Yeah, you can pay attention to that, and yeah, we'll keep you posted on what happens with our teams basically going forward. So yeah, all that in mind, that's it for the podcast. As always, going to leave the final word for you, Kevin, to write us off.
2 words: fuck FPL.